It was a quiet Sunday morning. The sun cast long shadows across the small town. The church bells rang as the congregation prayed. The pastor was preparing his sermon, unaware of what was about to happen. Suddenly, sirens shattered the peace. Police stormed the church, accusing him of a crime he didn't commit. Everyone assumed the arrest was justified. Everyone trusted the evidence. But what they didn't know was that the file the police trusted contained a secret, and uncovering it today would reveal the truth they tried to bury. The pastor had always been respected. He volunteered at shelters, counseled troubled youth, and was the cornerstone of the congregation. Then came the accusation. One witness claimed he had been seen near a burglary the night before. Another alleged involvement in financial mismanagement at the church. The police compiled statements, timelines, and evidence, all seemingly airtight. The pastor was arrested in front of his congregation, handcuffed, and led away. Cameras captured every moment. Social media erupted. Everyone assumed he was guilty. In court, prosecutors presented timelines, photos, charts, and lab reports. Confidence was treated as proof. Every detail seemed to confirm guilt. The defense tried to slow the momentum, questioning forensic procedures and timelines, but the judge dismissed most concerns. The system moved fast, leaving the truth buried beneath authority and procedure. Within days, the jury returned its verdict, guilty. But one small piece of evidence quietly contradicted everything they claimed, a detail so subtle it went unnoticed at the time, and it would later unravel the entire case. The prosecution's star evidence was a fingerprint report, supposedly placing the pastor at the scene. CCTV footage allegedly confirmed it. Graphs and charts created a timeline that appeared perfect. Yet forensic reality isn't about appearances, it's about verification. Hidden in the margins of the lab report was a discrepancy, a single fingerprint that didn't match the pastor. The jury never saw it. The judge didn't question it. The prosecution ignored it. Years later, while reviewing old evidence for an appeal, the pastor's defense attorney noticed this discrepancy. It contradicted the prosecution's timeline and suggested the fingerprint may have been planted or misread. Another anomaly emerged. A CCTV frame supposedly placing the pastor at the scene had been mistimestamped. The original footage had never been verified by independent experts. And this wasn't the only mistake. Hidden within the evidence were several overlooked details, and one of them, if revealed, would completely change the narrative the system had built. A forensic expert was brought in to reanalyze the case. Using modern techniques, the expert uncovered multiple flaws. Fingerprints were misread. CCTV footage was misaligned. Financial records suggested alternative suspects. Witness timelines didn't match physical evidence. The expert concluded that the evidence did not just fail to prove guilt, it strongly indicated innocence. The court agreed to reopen the case, reviewing the findings meticulously. The pastor, released on bail, watched as his reputation, nearly destroyed, began to be vindicated. But overturning the conviction wouldn't be simple. The prosecution resisted, claiming the original verdict was sound, and one final piece of evidence, hidden in plain sight, would become the deciding factor. Years after the conviction, forensic technology had advanced. The expert reviewed the original fingerprint, CCTV footage, and financial records using modern tools. The results were startling. The fingerprint did not match the pastor. The CCTV timestamps had been altered, whether intentionally or accidentally, creating a false timeline. Financial inconsistencies pointed to another individual entirely. For the first time, the evidence didn't whisper, it spoke clearly. The defense attorney presented these findings to the court. Prosecutors tried to discredit them, but the expert's analysis was undeniable. The timeline collapsed under scrutiny, and the fingerprint evidence failed to hold. But even with these findings, the system hesitated. Overturning a conviction is never simple, and one more hidden piece of evidence would finally tip the scales toward justice. The final piece of evidence was buried in a minor financial ledger from the church. An auditor had flagged a transaction months before the crime, but it had never been examined. This transaction implicated another individual entirely, someone with opportunity and motive. The court finally recognized the truth. The pastor had been innocent all along. The conviction was overturned, his record cleared, and his reputation restored, years after it had been nearly destroyed. Forensic evidence had finally spoken louder than assumptions, bias, and procedural momentum. The pastor had finally been vindicated. Evidence had spoken louder than assumptions, bias, or rushed judgments. Justice, though delayed, had been served today. Subscribe to the channel. We upload every day because justice deserves to be served every single day.